And that leads to my second point. My second point is this. We need to break the perceptions around exercise. Let me explain what I mean. I've been an extreme exerciser. I've been an extreme exerciser for the last 14 years of my life. Actually, I sat down a while ago and I tried to work out how many hours exercise I've done in the last 10 years. And it worked out that in the last 10 years, I've done 11,400 hours exercise, or there or thereabouts. So, I'm kind of crazy. But something really interesting happened to me a couple of years ago. About 2.5 years ago, I gave up Ironman triathlon. And when I was doing Ironman triathlon, I used to train around, anywhere from 30 to 40 plus hours a week. My average week was around 35 hours a week. And at this time, I gave up Ironman triathlon. I really cut back on the amount of exercise that I did. So I went from doing around 35 hours a week to around 15 to 20 hours. Now, I know for a lot of you guys out there, 15 to 20 hours is a lot of exercise, but for me, that was a big drop in the amount of exercise that I was doing. At that time, I did two things as well. I gave up two of the disciplines of triathlon. I gave up swimming and completely didn't swim at all, and I gave up cycling in a big way. Like at the time, I used to ride around 4 to 5 sessions a week of between 3 to anywhere to up to 8 hours. And at the time, I went to riding only for transport, which is 10, 15-minute bike rides around town. So really kind of gave up cycling. Around 18 months after that I gave up cycling, I decided to do a half Ironman, just as a bit of a fun thing to do. So I signed up for this half Ironman and away I went. But something really interesting had happened inside my mind. Suddenly in my mind, the idea of doing a 4-hour bike ride became the hardest thing ever. In my mind, my perception around doing a 4-hour bike ride seemed impossible. I doubted if I could make the distance. I was worried about my fitness. I was worried about getting injured. Whereas 18 months earlier, a 4-hour bike ride was just an average day at the office. It wasn't even a big day. But within that 18-month period, I suddenly was fearful of doing exercise, of doing that 4-hour bike ride. And that's the thing, is that the longer you're away from exercise, the harder it is to get back into it. The longer you're away. And that is because your perception around exercise makes it seem harder and harder. Now, in my situation, I'm an extreme exerciser, so I kind of knew that, I was going to get back into it and it was not going to be a problem. And I got out on my bike and I was riding pretty aggressively, pretty quickly. But for the person who hasn't exercised in a long period of time, their perception around exercise is really, really, probably unrealistic, but also it makes it harder for them to get back into it. So if you were to even just give the basic guidelines for someone who hasn't exercised, 30 minutes 4 or 5 times a week, that would even seem extremely hard. The idea of them getting out the door and doing that exercise would seem extremely hard. So for me, when you're trying to get back into exercise, you should have one focus. And your one focus should be, what do I know I can do right now that seems easy? I'm going to say it again. What can I do? What do I know I can do right now that in my mind seems easy? I think the problem is that what happens is that we all know that we should do a certain level of exercise. So let's say, for example, you need to do, you should do half an hour to an hour a day. But your perception of exercise is so hard that that leads to inaction. And then you may know that you can get out and do a 10-minute walk, but there's no benefits in it. So you think to yourself, well, what's the point in doing a 10-minute walk? But when you first start out, that should be your only goal. You shouldn't be worrying about weight loss. You shouldn't be worrying about getting fitter. You should be worrying about doing the thing that you know you can do right now. Because for me, I'm trying to get you out the door. And if I can get you out the door, I'd much rather you do that than do nothing at all. Like, I'd much rather you come up to me and you said, instead of going, I can get 2 hours in a day and not doing nothing and reinforcing the fact that you fear failure, and going back to my water skiing analogy, reinforcing, justifying your thinking around that. I'd much rather you go, I know I can do 10 minutes a day, and you do it. And that leads me to my third point. My third point is this, that in the first period of exercise, you shouldn't be worried about losing weight. You shouldn't be worried about getting fitter. You shouldn't be comparing yourself to, other people or trying to finish a 10K running race or a half marathon. For the person who hasn't exercised for a long period of time, your one focus should be to have the habit of exercise. That's your only focus, to have the habit of exercise. What do I mean by that? That people who have exercised for a long period of time know how to have exercise in their lives. for example, well, a lot of my friends are into their exercise. If they were to get injured and they couldn't exercise for 2 or 3 months, I guarantee that once their body was safe again, they'll get back into exercise because they have learned the habit of exercise in their life. They know the processes that they have to go to be successful with exercise in their life. Whereas the person who hasn't exercised for a long time, they don't know those habits at all. And in the first period of time, the habit should be the only goal. One thing you need to do around this time is you need to remove all the measurement tools that take you away from the habit. So for example, if you don't want scales in your life, you don't want heart rate monitors, you don't want to be, doing tests against other people. And the reason that is let's say, for example, based on the 3 points I'm getting across, that you've created a realistic expectation around your time frame where you can get 20 minutes exercise in a day. You've created a perception of the amount of exercise that the movement that you can do that feels easy for you. So for you, that you feel you can easily achieve a 20-minute walk every day. And then you've kept the habit up for 2 weeks. It's starting to make you feel successful with exercise. And then after 2 weeks, you jump on the scales and you haven't lost weight. How are you going to feel about yourself? You're probably going to feel pretty bad. And what's that going to do? It's going to make you feel like a failure, which will take you to an emotional place, which has a high risk of moving you away from the habit of exercise. I think that in this first time, the only measurement you should have is the measurement of habit. And I kind of think of like the star chart you have for kids who are trying to learn how to potty train. Like for the kids who are trying to potty train, you're just trying to reward the behavior they want. So if they don't go to the toilet or the kid who's no longer using nappies, if they don't go to the toilet, if they don't poo their pants that day, sorry about that, but if they don't poo their pants that day, you put a star on the chart. And I think that's what you should do in that first 3 to 6 months of exercise. Then the first 3 months, when you come home from a session, you're not writing down how long you went, you're not writing down, the heart rate or the amount of weight you've lost today or anything like that. You're just putting a star on there saying, I did exercise today. This is so important. Because one of the reasons people who don't exercise is because they feel they are a failure with exercise. And in this first 3 to 6 months, all we are trying to do is to make you feel that you can be successful with exercise. And that when you feel you can be successful with exercise, you will then open up your thinking to other things. So you'll probably find that once you've had the habit in place for a period of time, you'll want to go faster, you'll realize you can go longer, your beliefs around exercise will start to expand, and you'll go to places that in the past you didn't think were possible. But right now you don't believe that's possible. And until you can start to feel successful with exercise, that's never going to happen. The other thing that's going to happen is you're going to learn those habits that work for you. The thing is, we're all different and we all have different demands in our life. What works for me doesn't work for you, doesn't work for my best mate, doesn't work for my sister. You need to learn how you can be successful with exercise. And if in that first period you focus on just getting the habit in place, you're going to learn those habits. You're going to learn when you need to pack your bag, you're going to learn, what the best environment is for you to be in, and so on. And you're learning how you can be successful with exercise. One other thing I quickly want to talk to before I wrap it up is look for things that you enjoy. Look for movement that you know you enjoy. You can look back to your past when you were a kid, maybe look for movements. If you're a kid, if you love dance, or maybe you could do like a jam class, which is a dance class, or a Zumba class. Or if you like cycling, get on the bike and go for easy bike rides. Do you prefer to be in nature or do you prefer to be around people? Do you like the social aspect of movement? If you like the social aspect of movement, there's one thing I probably want to talk to. Try not to put the expectations on yourself that you're comparing yourself to other people. What do I mean by that? I mean, you're probably going to go along. If you're going to go to a group environment where there's exercise happening, you're probably going to be the unfittest person there. So if you go into it and you compare yourself to other people, you're only going to feel bad. And in this first period of time, it's like stacking the cards against yourself so you could only win. So go into the environment with the understanding that you're only there just to do your easy amount of exercise that you know you can do. So important. Once, and I suppose the thing is, if you do feel bad in that environment, don't go back to it until you're in that place where you feel more successful with exercise. So you can kind of see how this all comes together. Look at, I suppose I'm going to wrap it up right now. The thing is, there's 3 key points. Look at your life and be realistic about the amount of exercise you can include in your life. Remember, I'd much rather you did 10 minutes a day every day than say you can do 2 and do none. Then once you've created that timetable that's realistic to fit exercise in, what exercise do you know you can do right now that seems easy to you? And remember that for the first 3 months, the only goal is for you to maintain the habit based around those other 2 rules. And that you're learning to feel successful with exercise and the habits that come around that. Now, the benefits are huge. I can talk the benefits, the benefits are huge. Eventually weight loss and fitter and all the rest of it. But you're going to feel better about yourself. You're going to feel more active in this world. I believe that people who are fitter experience a much more experience-rich life. People who are fit climb mountains and they swim in oceans and they get out there and experience life. So you're going to have a more experience-rich life. Those around you are going to notice. You're going to have better energy for your loved ones, for your workplace, for the things that you care about in life. But ultimately, you're going to feel good about yourself. My industry is losing the battle. We're not winning the battle. We're connecting really well with the people who are in our world, but we're losing the battle with the rest of the world. And it takes work to move this forward. And I think that if you're willing to put the work in around the 3 thinking today, and I will point you to my website right now. I have a website, bevanjameseyles.com, and I do have a PDF document, a workbook that you can buy based on the concepts in here, and it's about a 12-page document, and it's only $3 US. It's a cup of coffee. And it takes you through a working process which can create a plan that's going to make you successful and feel like you can win with exercise. And if you can start to feel like you can win with exercise, you're going to get healthier, fitter, and feel better about yourself. And how do you think your life would be if you had those things in your life? Righto guys, that's this month's show of fitness behaviour. I'll be back again next month, so you can check that out. Again, if you want to check out the show notes or buy the worksheet that goes alongside this talk, go to bevanjameseyles.com. The worksheet's there, it's a $3 PDF. Also, can you do me a favour, if you have enjoyed this talk, chuck it on your Facebook page or Twitter it out, or just let as many people know it as possible. I'm a real big believer that we get the word out there, we can help as many people, maybe even win this battle I talk about in this talk. If you want to check out anything else I do, go to my website. I've got blogs, I've got more podcasts, I've got lots of things. I've got an international fitness challenge that I chuck out there every month. So lots of things for you guys to check out. Feel free to email me at bevanjameseyles, or just bevanjames, I should say, at gmail.com, bevanjames@gmail.com. And other than that, I'll be seeing you guys next week. Just lastly, you can check out some of my older stuff on YouTube as well. I have another clip up and I'm trying to get some of my older stuff up there as well. So check that out, and I'll see you guys next month. See you later, guys.